I'm up on the eastern shore of Maryland visiting my parents, and this is a perfect place to teach you about pawpaw. It's our native pawpaw, Asimina triloba. And so first I'm going to tell you a little bit about how to identify this small tree, and then we'll talk about some of its natural history. So the tree we're talking about is pawpaw, P-A-W-P-A-W, so it's spelled like it sounds. And the scientific name is Asimina triloba. Triloba refers to the flowers, which are in three parts. And this is, up here it's a very common understory tree. In North Carolina it tends to like moist areas with rich soil. In the wintertime you can see the bark is this kind of a smooth brown bark, and pawpaw tends to grow in colonies. So it's colonial. It does have fruits, but it tends to reproduce in colonies, so it spreads, and so often you'll see an entire grove of pawpaw that is actually one plant. So it has some of the larger leaves in our flora. So this is a pretty typical example of a leaf, and you can see it is obovate, meaning it's wider towards the tip than tapers down to the base, right? So it's a general shape, and so you can see it has a long acuminate leaf tip. And these leaves are glabrous. They don't have hairs on the back, but they are really quite large. As you can see from the leaf arrangement, they are alternate leaves, right? So I've got one leaf per node here. And then in the wintertime, it's helpful to look for these very silky, naked brown buds. So they're kind of a chocolate brown, and they're really velvety to the touch. They have little hairs on them. And so that's a really good confirmation for pawpaw. Another thing you can look for on the twigs is the little round fuzzy buds that are going to be next year's flowers. So we missed flowering season, but the flowers are these three-parted flowers. They're like a burgundy, and they are they have tepals and then sepals and petals. So they're a really unusual flower, and they kind of tend to hang down. They're really easy to miss if you haven't seen them. And then eventually over the summer they develop these fruits. So this is an immature fruit, so it's not full-sized. It might get to be probably twice the size, and it is kind of an unusual flavor. People describe it as having a tropical kind of taste, a little bit like a banana. Some people describe it as a cross between banana and mango in flavor. So that's the identification of pawpaw. This is a really interesting species. The fruits are pretty highly prized, some of the largest fruits that we have in our native flora. And the seeds are actually poisonous. So this fruit has many seeds inside of it, and the seeds are toxic. In Appalachia, they are often ground and used as a powder to treat head lice. So that's an old-fashioned use for the pawpaw seeds that are toxic. And also the seeds have been used to stun fish. So that's a native use of the plant, that the seeds were ground and put in water to temporarily stun the fish for fish hunting. So pawpaw doesn't have a lot of wood use, but it is a highly valued wildlife plant. The fruits are eaten. It is not eaten by deer. Another interesting idea is if you tear a leaf and smell it, it's a really distinct odor. Some people describe it as smelling like green peppers, and it definitely has that green pepper kind of scent. But if you can imagine, at the same time it also smells just a little bit like motor oil. So it's a very pungent plant. Another really important wildlife use of this plant, this is the host plant for zebra swallowtail butterflies. And so the caterpillars feed on the pawpaw leaves. The butterflies are black and white with a little bit of red. So they're really beautiful butterflies that you'll see flitting around in the woods. And this up here where I am at my parents' house, it's a great place to see them. There's actually quite a lot of them. So that's pawpaw, Asimina triloba. It is in the Ananaceae, which is one of our more primitive plant families. The Ananaceae is the custard apple family. And that's a wrap.